Yeah.
So announced this week, Canelo versus Yildirim. What do you think? Disappointing?
Yeah, but you know what? So on paper, you'd think him against Smith was a hard fight. It's supposed to be a hard fight. So it's supposed to give him at least once. No fighters are given, it sounds disrespectful, but it is in regards to Canelo. He's keeping busy, which I like the fact that he's keeping busy.
Yeah, I think you've got to respect that. The fact that, is it going to be something like 8 weeks apart?
Yeah.
That one of the elite fighters in the sport, pound for pound, is fighting 8 weeks apart. You've got to sort of admire that. Is it a fight where we expect him to have trouble? No, like Johnny said, without being disrespectful, it's probably seen as a gimme, but he's getting mandatories out of the way. But there's obviously so many other fighters who would have liked to have seen him with Canelo rather than Yildirim. But again, then he's talking about fighting in May. It was called in May, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So there's some huge fights there. So listen, if you get to see him in between, you can't.
I wonder if he's the kind of fight you've got to keep busy, like Tyson was in his heyday. Because once he had time off from the gym or from fighting, the focus of fighting, that's when he gets themselves in trouble or put weight on or whatever.
Well, he had quite a gap, didn't he, with legal trouble with Golden Boy. That were right near the year where he just wanted to blast it. I just think it's a bit of a tough selling it when you think
it's a hard sell.
Eubank blitzed that kid, didn't it? So you just, is Canelo going to do the same? I think it'd be quick, wouldn't you?
You'd expect it to, but I think he's probably got that. Well, he's got that Joshua appeal. Nobody really cares who's he's fighting. He's fighting, so they'll go
all over sort of thing. Yeah, that's what and that's what you expect, don't you, Yildirim? Again, it's not being disrespectful, but you just said it then. After what Junior done to him, you expect Canelo to do the same, if not quicker. But listen, we're getting to see one of the top pound fighters out, and we're getting to see him twice in the space of 8 weeks.
Well, look, historically, it's gone from like champions, isn't it, boxing every 6 or 9 months. He's like trying to crown him and fly away with him, so more power to him. Apparently, it's on the zone, isn't it, worldwide, so he's obviously stuck with them, signed a 2-fight deal with Natural. Yeah. So see who comes up next.
Interesting.
Could open the door, like everyone's saying, for Billy Joe, if not Billy Joe, we were talking before, whether it be Andrade. So you think the next fight for Canelo, he comes through, this is going to be
the next big fight, that way,
yeah,
it's a big fight, that's a way out of it, that's a course.
It's got to be Billy Joe or Caleb, of course, isn't it? In reality, or maybe Benavidez, I don't know, but it's got to be one of them, hasn't it?
If you'd think if Matchroom have done the 2-fight deal with him, you'd expect him to be a Matchroom fighter, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have expected him to have signed an option on it, won't you? Your first fight, whoever, but you're boxing him next. Be interesting to see if fans come on to app and see who they want him to box next. Is it Canelo? Sorry, is it Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders, or Caleb Plant? Who did you fancy him seeing?
I think it's got to be one of the ones you said there. Billy Joe, Caleb Plant, or Benavidez.
Plant's boxing soon, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's boxing Caleb True, which again, we are being cruel. No disrespect to Caleb, that's his best years. I think a little tiny bit behind him now, so you'd think that.
So these sound like they keep busy fights until. All roads lead to Caleb against Canelo. That's the case.
Interesting to see what happens.
So, March 6th, the rematch, Povetkin White. How do we see it going this time? For Billy picks, what does Dillian have to do different? I think it's pretty obvious what he has to do different.
Not get it.
Yeah, but it's announced.
No, I think, so when Dillian boxed him the last time, we dissected it and thought what he could have and what he couldn't have done. What will he have learned from that? Will he think to himself, next time I get Povetkin here, just jump on him, don't give him a chance, a second chance, or do I keep it long, be small, but he'll slowly fall? And I think for Dillian, if he's smart, and I know he's who's he just introduced into the camp this week with Lennox?
Yes.
We'll get it, but we saw it with Lennox, so he's got some wisdom in the camp there with him. And is it Harold Knight?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So now, so he's putting things into place. He knows he's got the beating of him. He knows he can outbox Povetkin because he's at that stage in his life now. But he also knows that Povetkin, given the chance, will take him clean out. Yeah. Dylan spoke once about jumping straight on him when he had him hurt, which I think is a silly move. I think once he made the mistake when he went to cross swords with him when he was still fresh and early. If he boxes him, they'll box him and beat him. If he jumps in, gets in there to try and tear him up, he's not got a chance for saving him again.
I know you there, Johnny. I think he's got. I think sort of he's brought Knight in. You think he's going to box a lot more disciplined, a little bit Lennox-like, a little bit Lennox-like, and the stoppage will come. It's hard to say because Dillian was boxing as well as we've ever seen him last time out.
But he was beating him up as he boxed him.
It was that's it. He was just taking him apart, and then it was just one shot. But I mean, like I said it last time. People was talking about it just being one shot. It was a shot he set up. It was a shot that Povetkin looked for all night. So you got him out. It was an unbelievable knockout. My opinion is I think he can turn it. Turn the decision around this time. And I think he stopped Povetkin. However, the danger is always there, especially after that first one. I just don't think Dillian is going to be the type of character to be a bit gun shy. I might be wrong, but I don't think.
Well, instinctively, human nature. If you bring in with a guy that you know can knock you out cold, he's going to think what was working for me, and so all I have to do is be consistent with what's working for me.
Yeah.
Let's just box him and beat him up, because eventually, if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if Povetkin had have retired on his stool because he was getting battered.
Yeah, it was.
So Dillian, he got greedy, he got eager, and he's got to see what worked. And he knows that.
I think that's a bit cruel to Povetkin though,
saying
he got greedy because
it was a
he didn't fly
shot,
he just set him up and he tried that shot a couple of times, touched him to the body and then
But when I say he got greedy, what I'm saying is he committed himself and got himself in the path of Povetkin, who's dangerous at what he does. Why give a man a chance that hasn't got one? And he didn't have a chance until he stepped up.
Yeah, I think you can understand that a little bit from Dillian's side, where the fight was wrapped up, like he was looking fantastic, and like in Finch, one shot can change it all. One shot
like
can
100
change
metres from end of marathon, weren't it?
Yeah.
His trips over his shoelaces. I mean, I don't know, I can see the same happen again. I just think psychologically, he knows that he can bang him out, and he's a wily old fox Povetkin.
Just Povetkin
starts fast and it's
Let's let him, but the caveat on that is if he's like fully recovered from his bout with COVID, if he's over that, if he's over that, early bets Povetkin.
So if that was the case on Povetkin's side, he needs to jump on Dillian straight away and try and get him early. But remember, he's older, so has he got that pace to be consistent?
I don't think he needs to jump on him. Did he get knocked down and have to get back up a couple of times, but he got back up and he did it. So he knows that he can get up off Dylan's shots. Does Dylan know he can get up off his shots?
It doesn't. History tells that it doesn't.
I'm going Dylan stoppage, but it'll be a later stoppage.
Yeah, I think I'm Johnny. Dylan inside distance, but he'll put it right this time, I believe. But I think he'll just be a lot more disciplined early on.
Yeah, I'm going with Mother Russia. Povetkin, I reckon about round 6-7.
Dylan, if you want his number, I've got it and I know where it is.
Yeah, Sheffield 8, SNIBS. But it'd be interesting to as well to see, if you want to jump on out and tell us who you think's going to win that fight. It's a straight pick and fight, let us know.
Yeah. So March 20th, Lawrence Okolie against Blavatsky. At last, it's going to happen again for the WBO title, my own title. I think Lawrence, the night he should have boxed Blavatsky. I thought he looked much better, much more dominant, and it might have been a blessing in disguise because now he knows he can hit some of those boys there.
A bit more. I think we were speaking about this last time we was here. With him, I think he's working fantastic on Shane McQuiggan. I think developing that lead, and I think he's a very, very dangerous fighter. But I think now working with Shane he's a little bit more educated. I always say he's still very inexperienced, Lawrence.
He's still got
a lot of amateur fights. Obviously, probably he's been moved very quick. But no, I look forward to it. I think it's a fight he wins.
Yeah, Blavatsky's an experienced operator, but I just think Lawrence is nowhere near the finished article. And listen, he doesn't look pretty, but I can see him stepping up to heavyweight. I can see him actually collecting a couple of cruiserweight titles.
It's not a gimme fight, this though, is it? It's
not
not a gimme by any
at
stretch of imagination.
I'd be surprised if he lost.
Yeah. And early call?
Early call, I go in the second half of the fight, I go Lawrence, but like I say, it's certainly no gimme whatsoever. He's in with a live opponent, not just a live opponent, one of the top 10 cruiserweights in the division for sure, so it's not an easy world title fight this.
Yeah. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm just going to sit on the fence for now.
Big news this week after his great win against Luke Campbell. Ryan Garcia, only through himself, not for any promotional thing, I know he made from Pacquiao, but he announces he's fighting Manny Pacquiao.
I saw the interview with, I think Mike Tyson, was it Mike Tyson and Joe Rogan, or Mike Tyson and
Mike Tyson, they got John to do something.
Yeah, and I like him. I like him. He's green, he's naive, and even he's still obviously there's a few leaky spots because you saw many box Luke, but you can see why he's attracted to that social media outfit, because he still looks so hungry, so naive to what he's getting involved in. Against Pacquiao, this is tall, but would Pacquiao do it? If you're smart, I'm talking for the older fellas, when you're getting with the younger guys that have got pace, that have got speed, you just stay well away from them, because no matter how better than them you are, they've got pace and speed on you, and that's a bitch.
Do you know what? You mentioned then, like, sort of, obviously with the youth, the speed. For me, I was so impressed with, but there again, Luke Campbell and Manny Pacquiao are very different propositions. But Luke, this is sort of what I felt strange. I'm not saying, he beats Gervonta Davis, I'm not saying, he beats Sergio Lopez's, Lomachenko's, but he was very impressive. He got caught with the knockdown was heavy, and he got caught. It's how he reacted, and he was pretty dominant throughout the fight, in my opinion. He sort of walked Luke down, and the bit after it where he's saying, what's the hardest you've been hit? And you hear him say, by far, he's the hardest puncher he's been in with. So I just think, no, he's 100% ready, sort of. I'm not saying he beats him, but he's ready for all the names. But obviously the Pacquiao fight is a strange one. I know Pacquiao sort of thinks coming towards the end. He's going on forever. But
it's not strange, it gets us talking about it. It's not strange.
But I think it gets us talking about it because it's so unusual.
It's a fight he could win. Yeah, it's a fight he could win, and then of course, him saying that, of course now people saying, well, can it be made? He signed a Pacquiao and his people, would he do it or not?
Yeah.
I wouldn't if I was Pacquiao's not.
No, I would. I think that's jumping from bottom step, trying to climb 8 steps.
So you think if
you look, there'd only be one winner in that,
with Manny Pacquiao,
don't you talk all men down, Johnny? We're still in it.
With Pacquiao, he stays in that welter division. You don't know what he's in. He's achieved amazing things in the sport. Is he there to win another world title, or is he there for a few big paydays? You think the Ryan Garcia fight is probably a bigger fight than you wouldn't fancy him against Crawford or Spence.
Because they're younger, they're fresher, they've still got a lot more.
But they've got his size as well, bigger than Garcia.
Yeah, huge event, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, so I suppose this might be a bit controversial. I suppose it was like putting Khan against Mayweather when he was shouting him out, or Khan against Pacquiao when he was shouting out. I'm not saying Khan's a better fighter than either of those two, because I personally don't think he is, but I do believe he's got a better pace than those two, and because of that pace.
Is he all wrong for him?
Yeah, it's completely wrong for them, and that's why I think Garcia.
Well, look, the Pacquiao and McGregor fight's probably died a death, or the exhibition or whatever we're going to have, and that's probably died a death now. So Pacquiao's going to be looking for something high profile, and by returning him, maybe.
That's what
is that Ryan Garcia?
He's probably the best more business fight with like payday. Do you think that is probably the fight for him?
Yeah, be interesting to see what happens in that one. But yeah, it's an announcement from out of blue, really, wasn't it? Came from nowhere.
Got people talking. Yeah. That's why he's got 7 million followers on social media.
7 million more than me.
So Josh Warrington's been stripped by the IBF because he's obviously he chose not to fulfil his mandatory defence against Kid Galahad, and I think it's a mad move, but it depends on who you are. It depends on what he thinks about the rematch with Kid Galahad. It doesn't make sense to me. If he was advised to do that, I personally think, unless he had something better to go to, why would you do that? Number one, if he thinks it's business, down to him. In regards to the position he's been left in, he's having to film for himself because Barry's slaughtering him on social media, and I actually feel sorry for the kid because he can't. He's like, don't know what to say. So what did he do?
And Barry was sharp on social media just last night, wasn't there? But I think Eddie's got to deliver something for Josh.
Yeah, he's got to.
Obviously, he's given his world title. He's got to deliver something for him, whether it be the Zoo fight. I know Gary Russell's been talked about.
Listen, I can tell you that's a dead area. Gary Russell is a dead dog.
If the Zoo fight doesn't happen, then where does that? They just know which path does he go down.
I'll tell you what, I can see going. I can see Barry fighting for the title against whoever, winning the title, and then Josh Warrington having to fight Barry
as a challenger.
Well, what does he do with no crowd and no title? If you're Josh Warrington, there's no crowd, which is your kind of your bank card, and you've got a big crowd and you're selling 20,000 tickets. You can't do that at the minute, and then you've got no world title. You're not winning to a negotiation for a position of strength.
Yeah, but for now, everybody suffers from the same problem, having no fans there. So it's not actually a bargaining tool. Or not. Down the future, it is. But I just think...
That's what I mean, he's weaker all the way around now. He's no crowd and no title.
I just think he's going to end up back in the spot he didn't want to be in the first place.
Would you have done it,
I think it's tough. Listen, it's obviously where we are now. There's no denying Barry was a very, very tough fight. When Josh has been promised those big fights down the line. That's how he's obviously seen it, isn't it? Or that's how he's been advised. But for me, I think that he's got to deliver him that Zoo fight, or if not, it's not been the right decision, has it?
I just think with that Kanzu, if he didn't want to come across when he thought he was at ring belt, his WBA regular belt, Josh's IBF belt, and he couldn't get it done now, why is he going to come across when then there's no IBF belt involved?
And it's a case of if he wins, because if he doesn't win, he's back to what he's just walked out on.
Yeah.
You know, because...
He'll beat that Lara though, he's got to beat him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you know what, we've underestimated him all the time. We thought he'd get turned over, and he's come through again. And he's a world-class fighter. I just think this was probably one of those things where he's at home biting his lip thinking, damn it, I should have, you know, but it depends on what the announcement.
Strikes me as if he's like been trying to grab a bar of soap that nobody's ever fully had their hand on. Every time they thought they'd grabbed it, it's shot off. Right then, so talking of Josh Warrington, world titles in rubbish bins and things not happening. Now we've got Kid Galahad here, who's done his best to cause as much trouble as he can. He's become a bit of a social media sensation. I didn't know you were so good at editing videos and that, Barry. How long have you been working on that, mate?
A very long time.
So from your point of view, let's get straight into it. From your point of view, what's happened?
Basically, I was supposed to fight Warrington as a mandatory, and you know, he just tried every trick in the book trying to get out of it. Eventually, couldn't get out of it, and they've asked for purse bids, and that's it. You know, they said to me, either fight Kid Galahad, fight your mandatory, or you've got to fight Laura. Well, he wanted to fight Laura, sorry, and he chose to fight, you know, someone that he's 20 to 1.
But let's skip back a bit
You know
before
what I
that.
mean? That's like you. That's like
hang on, Johnny.
That's like Johnny.
Let's
That's
just
like
skip back.
you, yeah, fighting Tony Bellew nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's just skip.
21 Johnny. I was 21 Johnny.
But what I'm saying to you is, do you think it's Josh, or do you think it's his handlers? Do you think he don't want a piece of you anymore? Do you think his handlers saying you don't want a piece of him? Do you think it's down to him or the other way around?
I don't know, because I just feel like he thinks he's a, I don't know, I think he thinks like he's a Canelo or a Anthony Joshua, and he's not. That's the truth, you know.
Oh, you mean he thinks
like he's a big joke, but he hasn't, and that's the thing. He's not Anthony Joshua. He's not Ricky Ann. You know what I mean? He hasn't got that pulling power. If he had that pulling power where he's taking 20,000 over to Vegas with him, then he would. But he's not. He's taking 5,000 to Leeds Arena. Do you know what I mean? That's the pulling power he's got. But I think in his head, he thinks he's a superstar, and it is. Then the day in boxing, you all know you don't deserve nothing. You know, no one gives you nothing, and you have to fight your way there, and that's it. You know, and he thinks, oh, he deserves these these big fights. When you had to box your mandatory against that big puncher,
Yes,
you probably didn't want to fight him, did you? But you still boxed him, and you were
got the title otherwise.
Yeah. And that was a hard fight, wasn't it?
Yes,
knocking everyone out at the time, but that's just how it is, isn't it? It's just one of them things.
As a fight, could you ever see yourself in that position where you actually gave a belt up that you'd fought for?
The thing is,
is that something you would do?
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm just saying, the thing is, if he had something already planned, then I would understand. You know, if he had another world title planned already, but he hasn't.
Do you reckon he's been promised something? No, yeah, what?
The thing is, he couldn't have been promised the WBO champion because he's tied up the top rank. He couldn't be promised with Garcia Jr. He's tied up. Even if he goes and fights Kanzu, what does that achieve? He's going to be a regular champion. Then he's regular, isn't he? It's like, what pulling power is that? You know, and he's telling him, oh, it's going to be unification.
Let's just skip back a bit, Barry, because I want to get my head around this. So let's skip back a bit before Christmas, and everybody was saying there a deal on the table for Kanzu to be boxing Josh for ring belt, WBA super title, and IBF, and you would agree to hang on and let them have that unification fight?
No, so I'll tell you, I'll start from the beginning. So after when I lost against Josh, Eddie goes, oh, what, do you want to stay this, do you want to go a different, I can take the WBA route or this route? I said, Eddie, I want to stick on the IBF route, because obviously they stick to the rules the most. I says, and I want a rematch. I know I'm going to beat him in the second one, just get me the fight. Got a fight eliminator, got out of the way. Then, about 2 days after that fight, he signs Josh Warrington. Then, it's like, you know...
Is that when you thought you won by 2 rounds? Is that just before then?
That was before
Oh,
then,
okay,
yeah.
sorry.
That was before then. But then he rang me and he goes, oh, listen, I've put an exemption in. I'm going to let Josh Warrington fight Kanzu in a unification fight. And I just thought, well, I can't. I said, but the IBF gave me the exemption, so there's nothing you can really do.
Yeah.
So the exemption was, it could only be for the IBF title because he's not a WBA world, he's not a proper world champion Kanzu. And the other exemption, the other thing was, it had to happen before
Time, yeah.
November the 29th or something like that. So then, around September, Eddie's rang me and he's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna ask for another exemption. We, try to like tell me this and that, well, if you don't step aside, if you don't take this money, you're gonna lose out. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like sticking on me a bit. And then I was thinking, so I didn't really say enough, and I just thought like, I just sat back, and about 2 weeks later, the IBF put the letter in and put, Kid Galahad, the Eddie here, the mandatory is overdue for Josh Warrington against Kid Galahad. The fight happened before the 29th of February. Then Eddie must have put back, oh, we've got a deal put in, but we actually didn't have a deal. There was not, we never signed no contract, he never gave me no money or nothing. So then I said to Eddie rang me, then we put back to the email, yeah, we want to ask for pay bid. Then Eddie rang me and goes, oh, what are you asking for pay bid? I said, well, I want to fight, if I can make the fight with me, I'm going to make the fight, aren't I? He goes, oh no, we're making this Kanzu fight and all this stuff. And I went, Eddie, this kid's not gonna fight. He's like, oh no, it's a done deal. Then anyway, about a week later, the news come out that he rang me the night before it come out. He's like, yeah, I need you to step aside because what it is, I can't make this fight with this Kanzu. We can't get him over and all this bollocks anyway. And then he basically said, yeah, he's fighting this other kid. And I said, oh, who was it? And he's giving me all these names, oh, this name and that and that. And I said, oh. And I thought, he's not really going to fight anyone who's tough. Then all of a sudden he put this kid in Laura and he's like, yeah, I'm going to put him with this Mexican kid and well, we'll use let him fight and then 48 hours after, he's going to vacate the title, then you can fight for a vacancy. I said, no, Eddie. I said, I'm not doing him no favours. He's not doing me favours. I'm not doing. He goes, oh, you're just being spiteful and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. I said, Eddie, his mandatory is due. I've waited all this time, it's got to happen, and that's it. And then, just, there was few more things, little bits and bats.
Have you heard anything from Warrington at all? Because you've thrown stuff out there for him on social media. There's been no response?
Eddie basically said to me, he goes, look, when that kid pulled out, I said to Eddie, Eddie, let me fight him in 4 weeks. I'll be ready in 4 weeks, Eddie. He's like, oh no. He said, no matter what, he goes, I've already put that fight to him. He says he's never fighting you ever again. No matter what, he's not fighting you. I want you to bet if I'm mandatory and that kid's pulled out, just put me in. Then he can get his mandatory out of the way. What does it matter then? He's like, oh, he said, no matter what, he's not fighting you, he's not fighting you. That was it.
See, Josh mentioned on his video last night, didn't he? He said that he were kind of trying to drop it, I thought, a little bit on Leo Santa Cruz's toes, saying, well, if Santa Cruz weren't super champion, he should not be super champion. And you just think, with the whole thing hinging on Kanzu becoming WBA super champion, and if that were the case, that everything were just hinging on that one thing happening, would that ever actually, if he were never giving it up, Santa Cruz, has it gone from point A to point Z, and everybody's saying it's going to be a unification, he's going to be super champion, if he's never given it up?
You can't think like that, can you? You can't think like that. You can't think, oh yeah, someone's going to vacate. I might as well just stay in this #1 spot because at some point this kid's gonna, move up another way. You can't think like that.
No, so what I'm saying is, to me, it sounds like they just thought all along. What I mean is, it were never done. To me, it's never. To me, in my mind, now looking at all cards on table, it were never done for unification.
Yeah.
No, because we got the letter from the IBF, and they even said when they sent the letter back, they went, dear Eddie here, we're gonna have to call for pay bid. We've not heard of you since I think we're about 2 or 3 months. You've not even asked for an exemption. The WBI have been elevated to super champ. Everything you've told us actually hasn't happened. So we're going to call for pay bid because he actually tried to slow it down and just tried to slow it all down a bit. So, but they just turned around and just had no nonsense and just said no.
So have you got any time on his time scale, any day? What do you know solidly?
Well, in 10 days we just call for pay bid, so pay bid's in 9 days. So we'll just have to wait and see. Jazza Dickens next in line. If he takes the fight, you know, brilliant fight.
Just
The first fight
has he
was
been
good.
here to spar before with you?
Yeah.
I'm
Done a
thinking.
lot together, haven't you?
Yeah.
Done a lot together. So you
I've seen.
I've done at least 50 or 60 rounds with
Wow.
Jazza.
So you could fight if Jazza goes a different route,
Yeah.
it'd be next in line again then, wouldn't it?
He's in WBO, so he's number one in the WBO.
Yes.
So he's either got a fight, he can fight me.
Has he accepted that? Does he want to fight you?
Well, the purse bid's gone in. I don't know if the
We'll find out for sure in the next week, 9 days,
Yeah.
won't we?
So say, for instance, if it wasn't him, who's the next one behind him?
There's a Filipino kid.
Right.
Yes.
But like, he's with Al Heyman, a big puncher. He's supposed to be next in line. Then after him, there's a Spanish kid.
Is that more European champ?
Yeah, the European champion.
Yes, yeah.
But we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, personally, I'd rather fight Jazza. If I do, if I don't, we can meet again. Obviously, if he fights
if he
with
goes
WBO.
that route, then you
Yeah.
unification yourself.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So we'll have to just wait and see what happens.
Have you got a message down there for Josh?
I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him. He's been getting it.
He's down there. He's down there.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
No, look, I saw that video last night of Josh, and I'll be honest, I don't know Josh that well, I wouldn't say a lot to, but I kind of felt a little bit sorry for him yesterday, 'cause it came across as he didn't actually have full facts himself or what had probably gone on.
Honestly, I like Josh. I like Josh a lot, but obviously he's in a position there, like I said before, now something's got to be delivered for him, or
You're not going to be happy, are
you're
you?
not going to be happy. You're not. And
you know what? I think Josh is a lads. I'm quite sure his mates, people around him, you know the stick he'll be getting, especially after that one you put on.
Yeah.
You know that'll hurt. That'll cut him deep.
The thing is though, but what big fights is the? Because even Kanzu, now there isn't a world title in line, or at the regular world title. That's not really a big fight, is it?
Yeah.
I think for some reason he's going to move up and either fight Jojo Diaz,
That's a shout.
you know, or even might move up to lightweight and fight. What's his name? Devin Haney or the other one.
Where the
I
dollars
think
are.
Super Feather probably looks most like
Yeah.
if that fight can't be for the Ring magazine,
Yeah.
the Super Featherweight fights with Diaz looks likely.
That's probably the stronger.
Has he not got to
possibility.
fight Farmer? Might fight Farmer.
No, Farmer's fighting for the mandatory spot,
Yes.
but he's fighting his mandatory now, so he'll have
Yeah.
that time
Yeah.
to do it. If you know, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
You feel personally a bit disappointed how things have worked out with Eddie and how it's all worked out when you signed with him first, or
Yeah, because
is it just to be expected?
The thing is with Eddie, we had a plan, didn't we? And then you know, he changed the plan, then changed this and alright, yeah, he's got both of us. When he rang me, he says to me, oh, you know, he's saying I'm looking after you and you're saying I'm looking after him. I said, Eddie, I've never once said that, you know, you're looking after me or treat me better than him. All I've asked you is just treat me fair, just treat us fair, and I don't want you to treat me better than him. And that's all I wanted, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I know it's a business and everything else, but you just want to be treated fair, don't you? When you're mandatory, you know, I think he doesn't understand how long it's took me to get that mandatory spot. You know, it's not took me just 9 months,
Do you
it's
think
took
they
me
would?
15 years.
Do you think they were gambling on the fact that you'd fight somebody else? Because remember how long has it been since you boxed now?
Nearly a year.
So do you think they were gambling on the fact that you'd be tempted to fight someone else before just so he could defend his IBF?
No, because Eddie already asked me. He asked me to fight in Miami and he asked me to fight and I just said no. Because I just thought at any time that you know how the IBF or you can call for the first bid.
Yeah.
So I just thought.
See, that's surprising and refreshing because usually in the fight game, fighters only get paid. So if you get offered something, you think, you know what, I've got nothing lined up, I'll take the dough. And then still in position. What Dylan's doing, Dylan's getting paid and he's fighting, but taking the risk. So you probably did the right thing, just sit tight.
Sometimes you've got to kind of just weigh out the, you know, for me, I think Dylan should have never took that fight.
Yeah, you've got to admire definitely about, like, I'm guessing, like, financially better it would have been you, short term, to take that payday, wouldn't it? Than
Financially.
No, you want that world title, so you've got to respect that.
Sometimes you're just collecting like the little penny bits of change, when really you could be collecting the big bucks,
Yeah.
can't you?
Have you got any ideas for your next video?
Find something.
What's coming next? What's coming next on your editing skills?
Wow,
What are you
Chip,
gonna-
I might put that one up, you know, just be like, why you always lie. We'll see, we'll see.
Thanks, Baz.
That's what-
So after the Conor McGregor last weekend, Jake Paul has reduced his offer to fight him from $50 million to $10,000.
Gutted. Does that mean it
Do you
doesn't
know
happen?
what? I've got a feeling it won't now. So what's mad, and I've seen it on sort of Sky Sports News and other news outlets, what's mad, I've probably just the way the world's gone. We're seeing footage of Jake Paul having a drink in his apartment or wherever he is, sort of slating McGregor, and you're thinking, has the world gone that mad that he's getting that kind of airtime? Yeah. I know he doesn't need it, he's got more money than anyone, but I'm just thinking it's crazy that someone he's had 1 or 2 pro fights.
Is that true? I think so the media's trying to piggyback on the popularity of these YouTubers. Yeah. So it's a new world to us. Course, it's a new world to a lot of terrestrial TV, what social media is. So they're piggybacking them. They're getting these kids on set, to interview them, and they're trying to understand what are they doing for us to do. So this is why these guys are getting the publicity. This is why Jake Paul is getting the publicity. This is why so much money is involved, because his followers will be interested. It'll sell. Point blank. Don't matter how we respect
it sells. No, you're right. I've said it before with the shows. Like whether we like it or not, that's going to get more numbers. Than what
it's just, I know you are with you, there's just something a little bit distasteful about watching like a YouTuber calling out like world
but that's what I'm saying. But you know what? You've got a load of keyboard warriors that will slag you off, slag me off, say I could have done it, but you've never got off the chair and done anything. And so at least a little mouthy sods actually saying, I'll do it, but you've got a lot of people think they can do it, and they'll hide behind a keyboard. This kid is either going to go through the embarrassment of getting battered, or pull off some, convince people he's going to pull off a win.
You could have imagine him having an MMA fighter and McGregor just thinking, right, happy birthday, just pulling his arms out of his sockets and all that type of nonsense.
Listen, how he's gone about, it's been distasteful, some of the insults have been horrible. But like, even just that after the fight, sort of kicking him on while he's down. But
some drop that one in it 50.
I was thinking it is.
Some drop that in it. Could have gone somewhere in the middle, couldn't it?
He's going to be A-side now, A-side and B-side.
Don't start.
So this is about pride now.
Yeah.
So does Conor McGregor think, I'm ignoring you little upstart, or think, I'm going to batter this kid and get paid?
Do you know what? Listen, I'm saying McGregor wins, but he's probably saying it. Is this a more competitive fight than Mayweather McGregor would have been than McGregor and Jake Paul? He's not.
Yeah.
I know it probably is, isn't it? I'm a McGregor fan as well, so but it probably is.
Yeah. But then look at Logan Paul fighting Mayweather.
Which has been put back now.
That's been put back, and it just makes you wonder, doesn't it, are people saying it's been put back maybe because of lack of interest? There's some people turning off from it a little bit.
Well, that's what I'm saying, just trying every little gimmick going, but you know what, if there's an audience, regardless of what's been sold, it'll sell, and so if they can shout at Mayweather and Logan Paul and it sells, it's happening no matter what.
Would you buy it, Mayweather against Paul? Would you buy it, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I won't watch it.
Not stream it, not stream it, buy it.
No, I'd stream it.
And
honestly, I wouldn't get up in the middle of the night to watch it.
You'd watch it next day,
I'd watch it the next day, but I wouldn't.
I would watch it.
I would stream it without a doubt.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to say I wouldn't watch it, I wouldn't be interested, because I would be interested. But to stay up at stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's a bit mental, I think. Yeah, to stay up to watch sort of, and like I think you'd be much better off watching one of his training videos or one of his old fights than to, if you're a boxing fan.
It's one for fans as well. They need to jump in on, will they keep paying for these events? It'd be interesting to see what just your general boxing and MMA fan think.
Yeah.
Will they keep paying for these?
The problem with the fans, and every right to be as the fans, they'll complain and say, I'm not paying for that rubbish, but they'll watch it.
Yeah.
You understand? So we all want to have a bitch, but you're going to watch it, because it wouldn't be on otherwise, and they wouldn't do it again.
The freak shows, and like you're thinking one of the all-time greats fighting someone who's had 2 professional fights. One of them wasn't. Well, they're not really against professional. One of them was against YouTuber in Miami, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like it just should never ever be allowed, but it's that sort of uncertainty, not of who's going to win, but what makes you think I'm going to watch it.
Crazy, see what happens. But it'd be interesting to let people jump in on comments, tell us whether you think it happens, and would you pay for it? Have you still got an appetite for it?
And do you think Jake Paul's the things he's saying are disrespectful, distasteful, or would you do it?
So then, last weekend, you see doing rounds a little bit. Chris Eubank getting called out by Kelbrook, or Kelbrook getting called out by Eubank, but I saw fighting.
Junior had done a bit of a disrespectful video to both.
Maybe Galahad made a video.
Yes. He was sent for the reply, but It was Kelbrook and Williams, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's just Junior being Junior, that isn't it? Obviously, it's a disrespectful thing to say about them both, but that's.
But you know what? If you're a young, hungry fighter, and some fighters fight the heroes, some fighters fight the guys at the top of the hill, to get a scout like Kel, it's a great scout.
Oh.
So he doesn't.
It's a terrible fight for Kel, though, I think.
But what I'm saying is, for what Junior's done, you know, he's got you talking about last time. What was he talking about? Golovkin.
Yeah.
You know, so but we're putting his name there.
His name out there again.
Yeah. So regardless of you look at the things that were said before he was Billy Joe, then we saw what happened when he actually boxed. So Billy Joe's never been mentioned again. So what he's doing is he's keeping himself in the forefront. He's keeping himself relevant. He's keeping himself associated with class fighters. So it's a good business move.
Yeah, like, let's be honest, when he mentioned Liam Williams' name, not just because I'm sat here. Junior's done what? I'm not saying, listen, I think he's a proper fighter and he's happy and he gets him up, but Junior doesn't want to fight Liam Williams, thinking I'm not going to get paid nearly as much as what I would for other fights, and it's a tough night's work. He doesn't want to do that, but he's just doing that sort of to boil people, you know, just to point it out there. And listen, Liam goes away, wins that world title. That's a fight that very could easily happen. But I think for the Kel thing, I'm with you there. Like, as much as, you know, I like Kel and as unbelievable he's been, but over the years, I don't know. I don't think it's the right fight for him at this
For Kel?
time. Yeah.
I hate the right fight at the moment.
If Kel's going to fight on, I don't believe it's the right fight whatsoever.
If anybody advises him to take that, they've not got his best interests at all. That's what you can say.
Yeah, I'm certainly doing that.
Yeah.
Agree.
AJ Fiore, announcement imminent again. Do we believe it? Has it been sorted? Are we going to find
Is
out?
it imminent? Oh, imminent.
I would say words I couldn't use. I couldn't say.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Imminent?
Is it imminent? Or is it imminent?
Yeah.
Or is it imminent?
Now?
Is it now?
Is it
Or
out?
is it now? Is it now?
Let's break it down. Is it going to happen? That's it.
There we go. Yeah, but are we going to find out if it's going to happen now?
There's no announcement coming
Yeah.
this week, I don't think. Or next week.
I don't.
All right then. So I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think in my head it's between Dubai and Saudi.
Yeah.
Whoever pays the most amount of dough.
I think
we've
it's
heard.
it come out. We're not going to see it over here, are we? It's
Yeah,
very unlikely.
and when I'll be 100% sure it's on is when Anthony Joshua says it's on.
Yeah.
So remember Tyson Fury got everybody chatting about it when he said yes it's on, it's done, everything like that, we went crazy. Never heard a thing from Anthony Joshua. So I think it's crossing the T's and dotting the I's to get this thing done. But they're talking. So as long as they're talking.
That's positive.
Yeah.
And I imagine being one of the biggest fights that's ever took place, there's a lot of things that need sorting out. So
Yeah, like rematches and all sorts.
But I do believe this, and I don't think we're going to hear it imminent. I don't think we're going to hear it straight away. Listen, I think it's going to be a good while before that gets
I agree.
announced.
I think they could roll on for a number of weeks.
Yeah, I understand. But the other thing is this: I think either of these guys, if they don't have to deal with their next fight in regards to Wilder and Usyk, there's nobody else they can fight next.
Yeah, they've got to fight.
There's nobody else they can fight next, and that's where they're both being squeezed into a corner.
Yeah. Well, let us know if you think it's next. Is it next? Or is it next? Or is it next? Type it and let us know what you think.
And also, tap and let us know where you think it'll be, or where you want it to be.
Yeah, where do you want it to be? Yeah. Shame if it's not Britain, but I think we've accepted it's not Britain.
I think we have on Burton, perfect venue, a football stadium in Britain, but it doesn't go that way.
Shame.
So Mayweather, who's discussing racing in regards to in boxing, because I suppose he's upset about the acceptance of McGregor over him, how people are with him. Do you believe there's an undercurrent of racism, or is it about personality?
Yeah, there'll be an undercover. Yeah, there's an undercover of racism in sport, 1,000,000%, as there is in everyday life.
In boxing.
Yeah, there will be some people, whether it's TV people or media people. There's always going to be people who are racist or bigoted, isn't there?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Is.
What I'm saying is,
but I do agree. I know what you mean when you say is it personality. McGregor's kind of made himself loved big fans and got out of his way to make himself loved. And I think when everything you do is just like taking pictures of yourself at a table of cash and stuff like that, it doesn't endear people to love you, does it? And
I think from Mayweather's point of view, he'd say stuff like that because he was revered as the villain when he boxed the likes of Oscar De La Hoya, and he talked about the personal things.
He
De La
played the
Hoya.
villain, didn't he?
Yeah, so and when you talk about and you see the personal things that McGregor's done, so he's thinking, why are these guys still getting the love and I'm getting the hate? I don't think it's a colour thing.
No.
I think it's a personality thing, an approachable thing, and I think Mike Tyson said it once about Mayweather, and he said, I can take my kids to school by myself. Why can't you? You know, so this is more about a personal thing, because I think as a black man in boxing, I've actually, you hear racist chants in the crowd, but I think the colour of your skin now it does not hold you back. If you were a winner, if you can box and you can win, and you can put bums on seats, that's what does it in our sport. I don't think, I think colour is probably one of the least racist sports out there, boxing.
Yeah, I'm with what you guys are saying. So there's no denying racism goes on in boxing as it does in wrestling. One day we hope that will stop. But this is about McGregor just being a lot more likeable than him. But this is what I think. I think my big
I don't even think it's likeable. I think alright, his character's likeable because he's reported to be a bit shitty in some of the things.
Yeah, he's done a few bad things.
Yeah, so and that's what gets me Mayweather.
Yeah,
you know, this guy's.
For me, Mayweather, you can't. He went from pretty boy to money, and he knows. So when he left being pretty boy for Mayweather, he went to money Mayweather, and he knew he had to play the bad guy. You mentioned then De La Hoya, like huge fight. He played the villain. You can't play the villain. You can't. What's made you all these fortunes of being so brash, being so fast? So all of a sudden you can't go. Oh well, I've earned that. So why are you not liking me like a lad off the council estate or something like that? That's never going to happen. I don't think that comes down to colour. Yeah. Like I don't believe it does.
I'll be surprised to see how many people actually agree with him on that point.
Yeah,
he went pretty big. I just put it on Instagram, didn't he?
You're all saying it does go on in boxing, like it does, unfortunately, in all walks of life in the world. But I don't believe that. I don't believe this is a race thing. I just think that McGregor is. People see him as a lot more relatable. He's had an unbelievable story where he's come from. And do you know what else as well? He's very witty, he's very sharp, he's funny, people like it.
Yeah. So just to dispel that, so you looked at Jack Johnson, he fought for years before they let him box for the world heavyweight title. He eventually got it, and what he did was he was loud, he was braggadocious, he was in the face, and white America hated him. Once he'd gone, then white America thought, side of the league, right, he's gone, got a white heavyweight champion. Then Joe Louis comes along, Joe Louis is there, they know this young man, he's got to be the complete opposite to Jack Johnson. He's got to be humble, he's got to be meek and mild, he's got to be nice, he's got to be America's sweetheart. And they still, at that time in America, when you still get home, they still elevated him to be a world champion. So what I'm saying is, in our sport, yes, racism is there in the crowds, and there may be a more that thinks I don't want him on my bill or whatever, but as long as it puts bums on seats, as long as you can win, to me, you don't matter what colour you are. And you see it in history, you see it now, and that's why I think in our sport, when people try and use a race card in our sport, I don't like that, because to me it don't sit well with me, that, because you can have that argument when you're Jack Johnson, you can have that argument even when you're Ali. Or Joe Louis. You can't have that argument today. No. Mayweather's worth what, 100 million plus? No, sorry. He's got stupid money. Don't talk shit. That's just what I'm saying. I just think don't fly that flag at this point, because when the flag is really supposed to be flown, nobody's going to listen.
No, I agree.
Totally.
Interesting. It'd be interesting to see what feedback we're to like scroll through all this stuff and see what people say. So finally, we've got to have it finally. Dweeb of the week. You got any picks? Have you got anyone on your mind?
I know you have.
I've got one. Sergey Kovalev gets brought back to Dubai DAZN after Canelo fight. $2.5 million comeback fight. Does he fail one drug test for synthetic testosterone? Nah, does he egg? He does two. That's him out. How do you get caught twice 2 weeks apart?
You know what, I don't get. You know what? How many times has he done it? How many times has he got away with it?
A few times,
you know. So and that's what I'm saying. We don't really now puts a shadow over any successes he's had.
Yeah, his career. That's it. He's had a great career, hasn't he? But now.
Yeah. So and it just tells you has been getting away with it to this point.
I think the saddest part of it is you like read it and you're like, oh, all right. Yeah. You kind of
you're not
like,
surprised.
Oh, all right.
Surprised.
Yeah.
The thing that surprised me though is some fans were like, oh, fancy him doing it just because he's got a bit older. And you think he's got to 35 and thought, do you know what, I'm a bit tired of my elbow weights, I'll just do a load of testosterone.
Yeah.
Do you know, right at last minute? Unlike,
But unfortunately, what happens is when you're you get to a point in the sport where you've used to being at the top, then it's hard to be anything else. And some fighters, they're just at that point where they think, I'm going to do anything to win. You know, I'm going to do everything to win. So what he's done is he's cheated, basically, and he's probably, I don't want to, it's aspirations, he's probably, accusations, he's probably done it before and got away with it. But now the chicken
well, he's failed both tests, so you wonder who we're advising him, man, don't you? Who we're telling him what to do, when to do it, he's failed both tests.
The thing is, he had a huge payday coming up, part of with his own deal, didn't he?
Boxing of a Russian kid, wasn't
Yeah,
it? I'm not going to pronounce his name, I can't.
No, so that was going to be tough, but if he come through that, and let's not forget, with the Canelo fight, he was doing well against Canelo, he was doing well, a lot of people, we saw what was coming, but it was very tight on the cards, and now he would have won this next fight, a big payday, there would have been something big again on the back of that for him, so now
like your mate, Smith, or who knows, man.
So, you know, there's another world title, but now you just think, it's going to be tough now. It's going to be tough for him to sort of...
At this age as well?
Yeah, at this age.
But he's going to get a proper ban, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's going to get
a ban, but the thing is he's got a name. So he'll get a ban and he might be out for whatever, how long, but someone will fight him, some younger stars, they'll fight him, because they can do it when he's got a former world champion.
Yeah, shame, but that is the shame in it now. We weren't that shocked.
Yeah.